This is KGW News at 11.
And thanks for joining us tonight. I'm David Mulco from Southwest Washington down through the Mid-Valley from the Gorge to even the coast. Nearly all of our area is about to be under a winter storm warning. And speaking of the deep freeze, let's start with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino, because Matt, you can feel it out there. Things are already changing.
Oh yeah, the cold air has arrived, as has the east wind. The precipitation is still going to wait. So here's the timeline on it. Snow and ice, and I'm saying snow and ice because we'll probably see a little bit of snow, 1/10 of an inch, before it turns to freezing rain and sleet. Precipitation type will be a mix and hard to pin down, but it really won't matter that much because it's going to turn to ice pretty quickly between about 3 and 5 p.m. And in the beginning, it'll be pretty light and fairly non-problematic, but as we go into the evening hours tomorrow night, it'll become steadier, it'll become heavier, and things are going to begin to ice up, and once they do, it's kind of game over, right? Freezing rain is going to continue likely into Saturday, at least Saturday morning, and I mean for the Portland area. For the Gorge, it'll be even longer. So again, this is going to be a couple days where we stay icy. I just don't see a big push of warm air that's going to thaw us out anytime soon. So here's the modeling on ice accumulation through this time tomorrow night, basically. And there's not a lot, about 1/10 of an inch in the North Valley, a little bit more for the Mid Valley because it'll start a little sooner down that way, but you'll also warm up sooner too. But then as we go into Saturday, 1/2 inch in the Portland area, 1/2 inch in Hood River, 1/4 inch or so down the valley here. But look at the bullseye. We zoom in on the Gorge. That's over 1 inch of ice from Multnomah Falls over to Cascade Locks. And we've seen that happen before. This is not unrealistic. That may very well pan out exactly like that. But even if we only get half of those values, that's still going to be a devastating ice storm for that part of the Gorge, anywhere that gets that much. Now, the thing that's happening right now is it's cold. We're already down to 25. Super dry air as well. It's only 8 for the dew point, telling us it's very dry Arctic air. You look around the valley in the mid-20s all over the place here. It's down to 4 in Pendleton. And the strong winds blowing in the Gorge. Look at these wind chill values. Crown Point, the wind chill is already down to -3. It's 3 in Corbett. We may see wind chills of 25 below in the Gorge and the Cascades tomorrow as it gets colder and those east winds continue to crank on up. So that's the cold air. The moisture will roll on in from the west and overtake that warm air tomorrow. So that means snow to sleet and freezing rain again around 3 to 5 p.m. Dangerous wind chills overnight tonight in the Gorge, and then snow and then ice on top of that, and it stays cold into Christmas. Cascade, snow to freezing rain and wind chills of 25 below. So everything's still pretty much on track, David, and yeah, there's a bite to the air out there for sure.
It's getting ugly, and we are just getting started. Thank you, Matt. So at this point, it is clear we are in for a major weather event time to coincide with the pre-Christmas travel rush. If you focus on one message tonight, it is this one. Transportation officials are extremely concerned drivers will still head out in what could be treacherous, even potentially deadly conditions. As Catherine Cook reports, they're being unusually blunt.
On the cusp of a major ice storm, state transportation officials are getting right to the point.
People need to stay off the roads in this ice. This is not snow. This is not just some heavy water. This is ice, and there's really not much we can do about ice on the roads. This is about as dangerous as it gets.
ODOT spokesperson Don Hamilton is urging anyone who needs to travel for the holidays to get on the road by Thursday morning, expecting conditions to plummet by midday.
A lot of roads around Oregon are going to get closed by this ice storm over the next day or two. People need to be very careful. Go to tripcheck.com. Check conditions.
In the meantime, ODOT crews are applying de-icer, and if and when the storm drops snow, they'll apply salt to several roads, including interstates, 217 and the Sunset Highway. Transportation teams in Portland are also preparing. Crews have already attached gravel spreaders and plows to their trucks and are currently laying down de-icer on major roads and TriMet routes. Those measures should help, but the extent to which they're effective remains to be seen.
Freezing rain is just another ball game. Freezing rain can take a street that we've plowed and make it all of a sudden icy and impassable.
PBOT spokesperson Dylan Rivera.
What are you afraid of most right now?
Really, most concerned about whether the word is getting out to the public that they need to avoid travel because of freezing rain.
Rivera thinks about those who may have just moved here from warmer climates, or even places that may get a lot of snow, just not freezing rain.
Freezing rain is just treacherous. Any amount of freezing rain makes it likely that You could get injured just trying to reach your vehicle.
Which brings us to TriMet and the people who'll depend on buses and the MAX to get around, whether it's to work or the airport to fly out of town.
We're asking everyone to please, with these freezing cold temperatures, bundle up. If you have a pair of ice trekkers or winter walkers, put those on. Those are going to help you get through the snow and ice to your stop or station. And always check trimet.org/alerts before you go.
TriMet spokesperson Tia York says once the freezing rain starts, they'll run trains overnight to keep lines clear of ice and use ice cutters when needed. She says if things get really bad, riders should expect disruptions to service and should build in extra travel time. And one more note of caution from ODOT for those still determined to chance it on the roads.
Even if people are chained up and even if people think they're great drivers, ice will defeat you.
The ice will win. There are several websites you'll want to keep handy. TripCheck.com for statewide road conditions, TriMet.org/alerts for the latest disruptions and route changes, and PBOT also has a website which they'll update during weather events to show which roads have been treated. We've posted all of those links on KGW.com. David.
As dangerous as it gets, they say. Catherine Cook reporting tonight. Catherine, thank you. And this evening, cold weather shelters have opened up across the Portland metro area to help those living on the streets and those who are most vulnerable. Health officials once again warning people not to underestimate where temperatures are headed overnight tonight. So tonight, 4 severe weather shelters are open already in Multnomah County, including at the Oregon Convention Center. Washington County also has more than 300 shelter beds between the Salvation Army building in Hillsborough and the Beaverton Community Center. They are equipped with everything from beds and blankets to hand warmers and food. Multnomah County's Director of Emergency Management says nobody will be turned away.
Initially, we're opening up, I think it's a 320 beds to start with, and that will, historically we know that will certainly be okay for sort of the first day or two. But like I said, it could be a situation where if this continues definitely past day 3, that we may need to open up even more space.
If you have questions about the shelters in your area, you can call 211. Also note that no one on their way to a shelter will be turned away from public transportation for lack of funds. And ahead of what are forecast to be the lowest temperatures to hit our area in years, we wanted to get some last-minute expert tips on how to prepare your home for the deep freeze. Christelle Kumwe got some hands-on advice.
With a major ice storm in the forecast,
just about everything that has to do with cold weather has been moving very well.
Shoppers are lining up at Ankeny Hardware in Southeast Portland.
This has been pretty much nonstop. We're probably doing about 3 days worth of business every day.
Owner Norman Chusid recommends all of us get our homes ready for the bitter temperatures. He says there are 2 important steps. First, cover all your outdoor faucets with these covers.
Those go on your faucets, just like they show right there. It insulates the heat from your house and fills a little box, and it stops your faucet valves from freezing.
Second, check the filter in your furnace to keep your heater running smoothly.
Check your furnace filter. If you can't take your furnace filter out and look up and you can't see light through it, it needs to be changed.
So it's good to keep an eye out around the house as well as outside on the property.
Craig Moore is a plumber with D Temple. He says if you're worried about your pipes freezing, you can leave the water running at a trickle. Outside, cover any exposed pipes.
Now what we're holding is a copper line here with a bit of insulation over it. As you can see, this is pretty thin, about 1/2 inch wall. Just enough to keep the air and the frost from building up on that line.
After you weatherize your house, stock up on salt for your sidewalks and walkways.
Just out of kindness to people, nobody wants to slip and break a hip. So get some ice melt down, get the stuff shoveled off.
And if you must venture outside, don't forget to put these on your shoes.
These here are ice cleats, so when it gets icy here, we'll wear them, and it's like walking on just dry pavement when we walk outside.
Important advice as we count the final days until Christmas.
So we'll all get through this. We've been getting through with it for years. We'll continue to get through it.
Christelle Kumwe, KGW News.
And more on the timing here. We've met people doing last-minute holiday shopping and stocking up for the storm at the exact same time. This is kind of what it looked like at Cedar Hills Crossing in Beaverton. It was getting quiet there. We've heard from folks who were eager to buy groceries or gifts and get it done and then get home. Well, stick with us over the next few days for continuing coverage on air, online, and on the KGW app. We made it really easy to get the latest updates. Just text the word ICE to the number on your screen, 503-226-5088. And then we're going to text you back a link with the latest forecast, the road closures, and contact info for your power company. Stay with us. Well, new tonight, the winter solstice also happens to be the longest night of the year when it comes to the hours of darkness, and then people gathering to honor members of their communities who have died while living on the streets. Now, one of those vigils at the Bybee Lakes Hope Center on what is called a night of remembrance. It included a reading of names, a candle ceremony, and words from those who are often reaching out.
If we can bring attention to this night and how many people have lost their lives, maybe we can take their stories and promote change, right? Is we have to do something. We cannot continue to move up in numbers every single year. And we want to be part of that voice. We want to bring the voices of the people who've lost their lives.
Similar vigils were also held in Vancouver and in Oregon City.